Hello, beautiful people. I hope you had a lovely Lunasa yesterday, or Lammas, whichever you prefer to call it. We had quite a good one. We focused on lighting a candle in connection with supporting those who are going through injustice at the moment, suffering injustice, or those who are fighting against it. As some of you might know, the moon was in Aries. So it was kind of the perfect time, and with Lu being a skilled warrior and Anya of Nakani being the goddess of sort of love and fertility, I thought it was a good time to try and bring a little bit of fruition to that. Anyway, so love to hear what you guys did actually. Now E is for experience in my witchy pagan alphabet. So being a witch is a really sensual experience. We feel our way through life, don't we? We don't just hear the call of the crow, our heart moves to it. We don't just walk upon the earth, we let its beat move in our feet. We taste, we touch, we let energies run through us. We feel spirits move in the tingles of our fingers and let the chaos of the stars dance in our eyes. To be able to have experience, we have to open to experience. And to be able to have experience, we have to go out there and do the experiencing. And you can, of course, as I did, have many strange dreams and spiritual experiences within the body, simply lying in a bed. And you can tailor your craft, around things like that, if that's necessary for you. But for those who are able, it's rich and lucky and nourishing to go out into the world and experience it. Now, I think if you're someone who struggles with this, it can be really good to start small. You work out what calls you. Forget whether you're enchanted by crystals on photographs on Twitter or the bones that someone puts up in pictures on a blog. Think about your own life and what you have access to. Perhaps you might be a younger witch or a witch who doesn't have that much spare cash. You might not be able to go and buy a load of stuff to experience it. And although you can find crystals and bones in the wild, for some people that's a difficult option. So, when you actually hold a crystal, do you feel the vibrations of its spirit against your skin? When you communicate with spirits, do you have the ability to deal with an angry spirit attached to the bone roaming the house? Is it actually a better thing for you to wander down to the river that's close to you and sit dangling your feet in and hear the spirits that way? Is it actually better for you to start with some energy work and get more practice in feeling and manipulating energy? Interestingly, actually, Kellyanne Maddox just did a video on spellwork where she mentioned how some people in the community feel they should only do spells on occasion to keep them more sacred. Now, she disagreed personally with that, and for her personal practice. And I have to say, it doesn't come in the realms of my belief either. For me, you must experience to learn and improve, and the more that you do practice and play around with magic and spell work, the better you're going to become. Play can be sacred. So playing around doesn't mean it's not sacred. It's not just what you are doing, nor how often, but how you approach it within your mind and the way you are doing it. Doing something often or experimenting with it does not, to me, make it less venerated. You could look at examples like if you only pray to a deity you work with once a year, does that make your connection with them stronger and more sacred? Personally, I don't think it does. I'm not sure they would agree either. Or even going out into the earth and experiencing the earth. If you go to that, if you go out into the earth to experience the earth once a year, does that make it more sacred? Not really. It just makes it something which you've done less. You're less likely to actually pick up on what's going on in many ways. You know, it can make it very special. But you need to look at, I think, obviously your personal beliefs, but, you know, perhaps there might be certain spells or rituals that you only do once a year. But often doing something more can simply, you know, give the experience from which improvement and development comes. I think there's also some reassurance to be given to those at the start of their path, because I've heard many worry about not having a certain experience, perhaps journeying or being called by a deity. And when these experiences are right for you, if you're working towards them, they'll come. Journeying in particular is not usually recommended by to be undertaken by witches who are young or inexperienced, because it can often be frightening and even take a really big toll on your mind. You know, the damage that sort of work can do is real, and it can really cause mental health problems, or, as I've said before, for me, it completely exacerbated my physical health problems to the point where I collapsed and nearly died. And if I have a noticeable reaction in my body after doing big spells, or doing that sort of, you know, journeying and things, I tend to actually lose weight slightly. You know, I am not as strong afterwards, and that had a big effect for me. I've had to learn from that. But, you know, it may be that you are slightly too inexperienced, or you're slightly too young to deal with that, and that's why it's not happening. And, you know, sometimes it can also be about fear with journeying, so you're too frightened to actually let go. And I think it can also be about self-hatred, because perhaps you may have enough hatred that you wouldn't come back to your body after leaving it, and things like that. Like, there's a lot of things that can play into it. So I would say don't panic about that. You know, take some time off from trying to get there, trying to journey, and come back to it a bit later when you've had a few other experiences and you know yourself better as you grow, hopefully, anyway, if people are learning from their experiences. Some people never do. It may be as well that perhaps spirit guides have not revealed themselves yet, and my advice to this is to make sure you're informed of what and whom you're trying to contact. So be clear in your calling, even if they're unknown. You can still state that you want only spirit guides who are looking to help you. You know, you can be very clear about it, and there's big benefits in that. You don't really want to open a lot of doorways that you don't know how to close. Even if you do know how to close them, you still don't really want to just open yourself up to everything. So yeah, be clear in your calling and get into a routine of offerings. So try reaching out to them through these consistent offerings and prayers, and in time they'll show themselves. There may be important reasons why they're not doing so yet. So it may just be that you need a little bit more consistency over time, or it may be that perhaps they feel that you're not in the right place for it yet, or perhaps they are waiting for a particular time, you know. It may be that you're simply also not aware. So perhaps they're leaving signs you're missing. Perhaps that tingle on your shoulder is the hand of an ancestor. Perhaps you're only doing meditation and they would communicate better with a pendulum. Open your avenues to experience. Don't leave them closed by only allowing one pathway of contact. So witchcraft is and always has been a sensual experience. So we do journey, but to do that, we must still learn to control our senses, to switch them off in some ways to the outside, and how to come back in to them as well. And yes, we talk to spirits, but often we feel them around us through our bodies, so like the tinkle on the shoulder. Remembering how intricate our bodies can be, I think, can be really important, because even something as small as a taste can set off an array of reactions through us. We can use these sensual experiences to aid our healing or our curses, or to invoke trance or open the way. If anyone knows Bach's flower remedies, he usually, so the way he kind of did it was that he invoked the emotion within himself, so for example anger, and then he went out to see which plants could help with that. We can use that process with our experiences, and you know, as well in the oh my god, what's its name, Viridarium umbris, mind blank there. It's suggested that, you know, a plant, by using all senses to see all of its different forms, so in each stage of a plant's life and in each part, you know, root, leaves, including rotting, you burn and taste and smell and so on to see and understand the different faces of the spirits. We can apply this type of technique to so many different things to create and bring about experience, and to be in that experience and come to understanding. Though it's important to be in the moment, and it's not done enough in these times, it can be a very difficult thing to do, to be in the moment in this modern day. But though that's important, we can also look at experience through what we want to experience. So do we want a happier earth? Do we want less racism, less sexism, a happier household? Do we want a person being comforted and healed? Or do we want perhaps a person kept away from our family or friends who are destroying their lives? We can apply our magic to all of that as well. You know, what we want our experiences or other people's experiences in life to be. What's spell work for but manipulating energy so experience can happen? So what experiences do you want to have? What experiences have already opened new doors for you, given you new ways of looking at things, or had a big impact on your life? Tell me, because I'd love to know. I find it so interesting hearing other people's experiences within the craft. I always have done. But I love hearing experiences full stop. I'm one of those people who could sit for hours in an old people's home just listening to the stories. I find it amazing. So to learn, we can look back not only at past experience that we've had, but also historical experience, ancestral experience, experience woven into folklore, fairy tale and myth. We have a realm of experience on which to grow, and we're creating what future generations will experience. And I think it's a lovely thing that we keep that in mind, that we're creating experience for them. And we also are grateful for the fact that we do have, you know, especially with technology now, we have so much experience that we can draw on from other people, whether that's through forums or, you know, looking at books that we wouldn't have had access to, all of that kind of stuff. We are so lucky to have that, and I think it can really, really enrich our craft. So we must learn to look back at their experiences, at our ancestral ones, where, you know, some of those experiences will be carried within us, and that's being shown scientifically now. And, you know, looking back at historical experience and trying to work out how to prevent things happening again, that we don't want to happen, or how to get to a good point, you know, that has been got to before. And looking at, for example, you know, how olden day witches may have connected with the earth, and how they would have put their spells together. That can be a really helpful thing to look at. You know, what did they experience when they did that? And of course you've got, you know, Isabel Gowdy is very well known in the traditional witchy community, certainly, from the witch trials and her experiences are well documented. So I think, you know, there is just so much out there. I think it's really important that we become storytellers, weaving each individual experience as a single step together to make a dance. So I hope that you've really enjoyed this video, and yeah, I will be back soon with another one. I'm not sure what to do next, so I may do the next pagan alphabet one, because I'm probably behind everyone else. I think I'm only on E here, but you know, I'll do it as it comes. So much love, and I hope you all have a fabulous day or night if you're watching this in the evening. So yeah, many blessings to you all, guys. It's been lovely to speak to you.